Not long ago, my wife and I considered having a swimming pool put in our backyard. And we thought, hey, that would be great, right? Because we do enjoy going to the pool in the summertime. But then we started looking at the money of it all, and it's pretty expensive. We would have had to go to our local public pool 200 times in order to kind of break even, if you will, with the cost of having a pool put in. Well, the public pool's only open 100 days a year, so that's not going to work. But would we actually use it for 200 days a year? Probably not. I mean, we'd be really good at pushing 100 times a year. So the money just didn't work out, right? It just didn't make sense for us to have a pool put in. Well, we do that same kind of analysis with financials and resources in business, and we put that analyzed data into a business case. So let's take a look at how we use business cases to justify security efforts. So when we talk about security efforts in business, oftentimes the question comes up, why do we need a security program? And we say, well, because. But here's the question. Because why? We need to justify it. Well, because security is important. Well, yeah, of course it's important. But why? So that we don't get hacked. Those bad guys are out there and they're going to get us sooner or later. Well, okay, but why? What's the justification? And these are all good points, but they're not business justifications. And that is key here. We need business justifications to say why and how the security efforts are going to benefit the business. And not only like benefits as in, hey, we did a good job, we stopped the hackers, but benefits as in financial benefits, because the board wants to see the value that security brings to the organization. So that being said, we need to specify a business reason that supports our security efforts, right? We need to show them the benefits that this brings to the business. But how do we go about doing this? Well, we need to figure out how security aids the business and how it provides value to the business. And not only value as in necessarily money savings right away, but it could be it opens up a new line of business for us. And a new line of business could bring us additional bottom line revenue down the line. So this process here, all of this helps get buy-in from the executive level and the board once they see how information security can benefit the business. So now the question is, how do we go about putting all this together and, what's the process? Well, the process is a business case. We put together a business case, which is a document that justifies the spending of resources. So that could be money resources, it could be personnel resources, it could be both of these, or it could be additional resources, but we need to justify it. And that's what a business case is all about. So we take this business case, once we get it put together, and we can present it to the executives, to the C levels, and we can get approval, hopefully, for our security efforts. Now, here's the thing. Now, this is all about justifying the spending of these resources, and we need to show how, that's key here, how our initiatives are going to benefit the business. And not only beneficial in its own nature, such as stopping a cyber attack. So we're going to implement this new next-gen firewall because it's proven to stop cyber attacks. And you know what? Well, that is a benefit. But we need to correlate this to some kind of value of benefit to the business, other than simply saying, well, it's going to stop attackers. Well, okay, we know that. That's what it's supposed to do. But how does that impact the business? What additional benefits? Put it in what we call business sense. Now, the thing is, when you're doing this analysis, you need to be very accurate. You cannot leave holes in your numbers. You need to think about things like all the aspects of what systems is this security going to touch. And then we need to talk to the owners of those systems to find out if there's anything that may be impacted that we need to address. We need to think about pricing. What's it going to cost today? And then what are our perpetual costs? Meaning, what's it going to cost year after year to support this product? Because we need to have all these numbers and all this information needs to be accurate, so when we provide it to the board, they can't easily punch holes in our numbers, because if they do, guess what? Well, that ship that you're riding on right now, it's about to sink. And you're going to have to go back to the board at a later time with a new plan. And they're going to be very critical of that. So keep it accurate. Make sure you're looking at the project as a whole and you're not leaving anything out. So let's take a look at some business case arguments. Now, in this example, we are wanting to become NIST SP 800-53 compliant. That's what our goal is. That's what we want for our organization. Now, we need to create a business case around this. So what are some arguments that we could use in our business case? Well, let's talk about cybersecurity insurance. If your organization has insurance today, well, if you were to become compliant in a standard like a NIST standard or an ISO standard, well, guess what? There's a good chance that your premiums are going to go down. So what's that equal? Money savings, right? We're saving money for the business. So, hey, that is a great point, a great argument. Well, let's see. What else could we come up with? Well, how about we think about this? This NIST SP 853 is actually required for all DoD contractors. That's in the U.S. So if we get that, we can become a DoD contractor, meaning we can provide services that we provide to a lot of other folks to the DoD, which means there's lots of contracts out there we can compete for, and we can actually open up a new line of customers. So we have the potential for an increased revenue stream. Another point is by increasing our security, we can actually reduce the likelihood of an incident, a security incident. And if we look at the data, we would find out that in 2020, the average cost of an incident was roughly $4 million. So that's a lot of moolah. And then what we do is we take a look at our historical data. Hopefully we're keeping it, right? We take a look at our historical data, then we find out that we've been having a security incident once every 3 years. Well, that means we could save $1.33 million a year potentially by preventing these security incidents. So that is a potential savings. So you see what we're doing here? We're tying this back to something that affects the business, which is always cash flow. So we're trying to save money by lowering premiums, open up new revenue streams through new clients, and the possibility of saving money that would be spent on incident response and the incurred cost of a security incident. So you see, we hit them in the wallet. And if you do that, well, that's when we can really justify the costs and resources we're spending on security efforts. Now, when we're building a business case, there is an outline that we should follow. We start with stating the problem. And let's say in this example, let's say we don't have a log assessment utility of any kind. And so log assessment, looking at our logs, our system logs and security logs, just doesn't happen very often. And that is not a good thing. So that is our problem. So if we talk about our current state, well, our current state is today we look at system logs kind of on an as-needed basis. And our future state, we want to have 100% real-time logging analysis. And that is our goal with this new system we want to implement. Okay, well, that sounds like a great idea, but we also need to then identify some metrics. How are we going to see if this is successful or not? And that's where the metrics come in. So we need to measure the number of alerts that we get from this new system. And we need to identify which of those are unique alerts, meaning we don't get those same alerts from our firewall or IDS or our antivirus. So these are things that we would never see if we had not implemented this system. And that means we can actually show an increased percentage of visibility into security incidents. And once we provide all this information, once we gather that together, we put it into a plan. And then this plan is going to show, what kind of resources do we need to accomplish this implementation and manage this system? What are the costs associated with this system today for implementation, for continuous management and licensing and perpetual costs right on down the line? We also want to include information about what vendors and technology we are using. And then we want to, of course, include a timeline so that we can identify when this is going to go into effect. And this is a business case outline. So we state the problem, then we identify the current state, the future state, we provide some metrics so we can measure success or failure, and then we provide a plan. And then we can take our case and we can present it to the C-level execs or the board, and we present our case and see what they say. Now, one final key point to all of this that we've talked about is that all of our security efforts, everything that we are doing for security and proposing that we do, all need to be in alignment with business objectives. You got it. I don't know how many times I've said it throughout these videos, but needs to be in alignment with business objectives. And that is key. So I'm going to write alignment because that is the key when it comes to all these things that we talk about with creating a business case and providing our data analysis. If it's not in alignment, it's probably not going to fly. So that being said, I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.